Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
As the sun rose once more in a specific location within Fire Country, Sakura and Temari awakened as they saw the Junin leader Kakashi sitting close by and looking at them. However, as they looked around, one integrant of the team was now missing. Sakura decided to ask Kakashi about where Naruto was. The Junin just pointed up, before both girls looked in the direction only to see the blonde standing on top of a tree log, while looking at the majestic sight of the sun rising. Just like Kakashi, Naruto had already been up for a while and he was ready to move by the time the girls woke up. Gaara was his friend and the only one who could understand him. There was no way in hell Naruto would let Akatsuki have their way with him. The blonde was so entranced with his line of thinking, that it took Sakura calling his name a couple of times to wake him up from his trance and jump down to meet his team. Seeing that his team was already ready to move towards Suna, Kakashi ordered them to charge once more as the group would reach the desert in about 20 minutes. At Suna . While waiting for the cavalry to arrive, Suna was doing its best to remedy the situation they were now in. The Kazekage was kidnapped and the kidnapper went through a lot in order to halt the village from going after him by adding hidden traps along the piles of rock that blocked the village entrance. And from fear of triggering said traps, a couple Chunins and Junins were busy clearing the rock pile rock by rock, while at the same time, looking out for dangerous traps. One Junin managed to find a medium-sized exploding seal, before asking everyone to step aside as he would detonate it. The explosion was considerably large and could easily wipe out an entire battalion. Meanwhile, other contingents were taking care of the dead bodies that tried opposing the enemy, but failed miserably. In total, Sunagakure lost 30 Chunins and 5 Junins and the bodies would be transported to the medical ward for analysis. Watching the entire situation from afar, one of the council members Baki frowned as he remembered the last event that rocked the village's foundations. When the enemy appeared, the entire village was sleeping and clearly no one spotted their approach. Gaara must have been the only one who saw them, since he fought the intruder. Oh, and what a fight it was. Gaara's sand, at first, managed to overwhelm the blonde enemy, but the man had a few cards up his sleeve. He had the audacity to try and destroy the hidden village of sand by using a strange explosive jutsu. It was only due to Gaara's protective sand shield, that the buildings remained intact and the villages were safe from harm. The problem was from that sacrifice. Baki cursed. Because of this, Gaara's chakra wasn't high enough to protect him against his enemies, hence why they were able to capture him. Worse was that Gaara's brother Kankuro went after the enemy, only to return carried by a group of Junins in very bad shape. The medics knew it was poison, but so far not one of them knew how to extract it. As for the antidote to be produced, they would need to know about the poison's components. What Baki feared was that not even old Lady Chio knew about this poison and she happened to be the village's expert on the subject. Sunagakure, because of this, had to count on asking for help as they knew of only one person that might save the Junin puppeteer. The Hokage was considered the best medic nin in existence throughout the elemental nations. Right now, only she would be able to heal. Did the village know that Konoha wouldn't be sending Suna, but instead her apprentice Haruno Sakura. With Akatsuki . Deidara and Sasori were traveling throughout the desert in a slow pace as Deidara's clay bird carried an unconscious Gaara on its tail. The wind was starting to increase and soon sandstorms would start to occur, forcing the two to take shelter and wait for it to stop. Looking through his puppet, Sasori was already snarling in anger from slowing the pace down. The man hated to make people wait, but he knew better than to go out facing the sandstorms. Deidara, though, was content to just explore his art as he would use his clay to make different shapes, much to Sasori's frustration. Sasori-senpai, in time you'll learn how to appreciate my art. Deidara said, as this happens to be their never-ending debate since the blonde shinobi joined the Akatsuki organization. The only puppeteer of the group groaned as he didn't consider Deidara's explosive clay as art, no matter how many times Deidara would bring the subject to discussion. You insist on calling those fireworks of yours art. True art endures the ages, beauty everlasting. Sasori's voice was slow and rough, qualities of someone who was getting irritated with the topic of discussion. Don't you dare to compare your puppets to my art. After all, art is a bang. Deodara said as he sent a little clay spider towards a small rock in front of him and activated a considerable explosion, feeling good about himself, quite to Sasori's groan of frustration. You seem like a child with explosive matches. Deodara. With Kakashi's team . Because of the sandstorm, the rescue group was forced to hide inside a small cave, quite to Naruto's frustration. He wanted, more than anything, to save his friend Gaara, but the more they waited the less time they would have to stop Akatsuki from taking Gaara's Biju. Naruto wasn't sure what would happen if the Bijuus were extracted from their host, but he had a bad feeling that his friend wouldn't live to see tomorrow, if Akatsuki got their way, of course. The group sensed his frustration and Temari was just as frustrated as Naruto. Gaara was her brother after all. However, she knew better about than to face the largest cause of deaths for those who lives in the desert. The sandstorms took approximately half an hour to settle, allowing the Konoha ninjas and Temari to charge once more towards Suna, where they would finally know what really happened to Gaara. We should speed things up a bit, usually it's one sandstorm after another. Naruto wasn't listening, though, as he was now the fastest of the group. The girls were astonished with the speed, but Kakashi knew better. This wasn't speed, but pure chakra control. Naruto must have trained exhaustingly in this specific field, because of his abundance of chakra. Another interesting observation was that Kakashi could, somewhat, see a current of air being formed in front of Naruto. He is diminishing the air resistance in front of him. I've never seen this level of wind manipulation. Surely, Jiraiya must have taught him well, or perhaps asked another for guidance, thought Kakashi as he observed the blonde running by, not only adding chakra to his limbs, but also manipulating the air in front of him, diminishing its resistance as he ran. Certainly, he could increase his speed to top Lee and Guy's speed, Kakashi deduced, giving the amount of control he had over the air. The winds were beginning to increase once more, but the hidden village of sand already appeared in front of them. It wasn't long until Temari saw the two Chunins in front of the gate as they greeted her and Konoha. As they ran throughout the village streets, Temari was informed of Kankuro's condition, urging the group to run quickly towards the hospital. At the hospital . Once the group arrived at Kankuro's room, Temari gasped at the scene she encountered. A group of 4 medics discussing some theories while her brother laid suffering on the bed in the middle of the room. His breathing was erratic and his body was sweating profusely, all symptoms of poisonous infection. Nevertheless, the doctors all but remained there discussing what to do, instead of saving her brother. As she approached the bed, Temari suddenly looked at the medics with an indignant scream. What are you 4 doing? It's clear that my brother is suffering from poisonous infection, give him the damn antidote. Being a doctor, it requires patience and full knowledge of what they would be treating, before even touching the patient. But, clearly, Temari didn't understand this concept. As soon as one of them stepped forward to speak, Chio appeared with her brother in tow. Had we known the ingredients of this poison, surely we would have cured him already. Sasori of the Red Sand has a knowledge of poisons ever greater than my own. I can't heal your brother. The sudden long look on the old lady was only evident to her brother, seeing that Sasori of the Red Sand was actually her grandson. However, the group's attention to the ongoing discussion faltered once the team from Konoha appeared and Chio eyed Kakashi with a sudden rage clear in her eyes. With unreal speed, at least for an old lady there is, Chio charged against Kakashi. You'll die, White Fang, for what you did to my son. Kakashi's one visible eye was widened, as the old lady's charge caught him by surprise. Well, who would suspect an old lady inside the hospital? However, Chio realized after some time that the distance between her and her revenge wasn't shortening, in fact she was hovering in midair for a while before landing her feet on the ground. Her face was speechless while searching for what caused this strange act of nature. Kakashi was too, but he was more focused in solving this little misunderstanding before the old lady came and attacked him once more. Luckily for him, the man with the white beard came and explained that he couldn't be the White Fang, simply because the man was dead a long time ago, to which Kakashi let out a whisper in relief. The woman, though, started laughing while saying that it was just a joke, earning questionable looks from everyone in the room. Little did everyone realize, though, that Naruto's arm was extended the entire time and that he used pure wind manipulation to stop the woman's advance. After the little altercation, Sakura took a step further towards the medics. "Excuse me, can I see the patient's chart for a moment?" asked Sakura, but the medic was reluctant to hand the file, quite to her expectation, seeing that her appearance had yet to demand respect in the medic field. "I'm a medic nin and the Hokage sent me here to be of any help you'd need." With that, the medic gave her the chart, before she looked at it with severe scrutiny, while coming up with the necessary procedure in her mind. Chio, in the meantime, looked at the pink-haired Chunin with certain nostalgia as she remembered one blonde woman 20 years ago, that cured every poison Suna would throw against Konoha in the first Great Ninja War. Meanwhile in Konoha, one busy blonde Hokage sneezed out of a sudden. "Tell me something, little girl," asked Chio, alerting Sakura's attention as the old lady proceeded. "Why do I see Lady Sunad of the Sannin in you?" Sakura's smile grew further as her attention went back to the chart. "Well, I'm her apprentice after all. I might have picked her habits a bit. Now, Temari, let's cure your brother." Temari looked at her with a thankful smile as Sakura related to the Suna medics exactly what she needed. Naruto, meanwhile, was talking to Kakashi about Sakura's growth as they took a seat next to Chio and her brother. "Well, indeed Sakura didn't waste her time while I was away. I wouldn't imagine her being a medic nin though. To someone who has the same level of chakra control as the Hokage, Sakura's potential would be wasted, otherwise. Her skill doesn't belong in the battlefield, though that punch of hers could certainly break some bones. Tell me something, Naruto." While Naruto turned his head to face Kakashi, the Junin remembered the level of wind manipulation he showed throughout the trip and the fact that he felt wind chakra stopping Chio's advances. "Was it you who stopped Chio from attacking me?" asked Kakashi, earning a smile from Naruto. Certainly, Chio was listening to the entire thing. It's been some time since now someone managed to control wind like this, and the blonde brat couldn't have met that man, could he? Air currents exist all around us, Kakashi-sensei. I just increased its force with chakra, that's all. Now I was curious about something. Who is this White Fang the old lady was talking about? And why would she confuse you with him? Now this was another question Chio wanted an answer for, so she forgot the first one. The person in question placed his hands on his chin and made a thinking noise, but it was more for effect than anything. "Well, he was my father, Hitaki Sakumo," Kakashi said, shocking Naruto and Chio, but he continued nevertheless. The White Fang was a very skilled Junin, rumored to rival the Sannins in power. As the conversation was going, Baki arrived with a message to Kakashi from Konoha. As he opened the scroll, he saw the team's new orders. "Begin chasing after the Akatsuki immediately." The scroll also revealed, quite to Kakashi's sudden curse to the heavens, that Team Guy would be the one providing backup for them. "What is it, Kakashi-sensei?" "We are to begin chasing after the Akatsuki and rescue the Kazekage. Team Guy will meet with us halfway." By this time, Sakura managed to extract the entire poison from Kankuro's body and wiped sweat from her forehead in exhaustion. The technique involves constant usage of chakra, and to maintain a steady flow, it takes a lot from the medic. However, Sakura still had plenty of chakra to work with. She, then, joined the group and saw Naruto smiling at her. "Good job, Sakura. Surely, you'll surpass the Hokage in no time. Now, we must leave immediately." The sudden appraisal was enough for her to flush. It was different than the cheering appraisals Naruto did when they were genins. It was different, it was a genuine appreciation of her skills as a medic, and it came from Naruto of all people. Certainly, it would take time getting used to this new personality of his. As the team started to run towards the village exit, Chio screamed at them saying that she would go with them. She explained her affiliation with Sasori and the fact that she had the highest chances of survival against him. Kakashi wasn't going to rebuke, so he shrugged and started running once more. Meanwhile, Baki turned to a Chunin nearby and ordered him to gather a group for support later on. Outside the village. Trusting both the trail left behind and the information from Suna regarding Akatsuki's directions, the team passed through the desert in no time, and soon they reached the borders of river country as a sudden forest appeared in front of them. Now up in the trees, the group was traveling fast, but naturally Naruto was faster as he couldn't waste any more time in rescuing Gaara, and this spiked Chio's curiosity. She knew Gaara to be rather reserved socially, and the only ones who hanged out with him was his brother and sister. Surely, this Naruto character has a deeper bond with the Kazekage Jinchuriki. Turning her attention to Kakashi, she addressed the proper question. What is that kid's relationship with Gaara? Upon hearing the question, Kakashi sighed in sadness as the subject of the Bijuas always caused him sadness and a disguised hint of shame for never being there for him. Still, Sakura was there, so he couldn't exactly divulge the information and risk breaking Sandaim's law concerning Naruto's position. Gaara and Naruto share the same fate upon their birth. Both had the same suffering while growing up, but whereas Gaara went against everyone, Naruto did the exact opposite, Kakashi said, shocking Chio as she looked at Konoha's Jinchuriki. But Kakashi went further and explained Naruto's reasons for being so apprehensive. Now, the only one that could ever understand Gaara's life is Naruto. He was really happy once he heard Gaara was recognized as Suna's next Kage. Meanwhile, Sakura was hearing everything while looking at Naruto's back. Suffering. Same fate as Gaara. But he was always cheerful and happy, while Gaara tried to kill me and destroy Konoha. How could they understand one another? Naruto was always such a mystery to everyone, even without knowing his darkest secret. Sakura, for the life of her, couldn't understand what was going on. Who was the man in front of her, she asked. Naruto was faster than the group, but in Sakura's mind, the blonde was increasing his distance between her at each step. In her mind, she couldn't see Naruto, but another person, a complete stranger. It was then that she realized the ugly truth. She didn't know Naruto at all. Suddenly, as a small clearing appeared in the horizon, the group was alerted to a hail of shuriken that came flying from the right direction, forcing the group to scatter as they landed in the clearing. Once the group took a look at the enemy, everyone flinched instantly. Black robes filled with red clouds, raven hair down to shoulder level and 3 tomes Sharingan blazing at his adversaries. Uchiha Itachi eyed the group from Konoha with the same look every Uchiha displays. One of pure superiority and even, in some occasions, one that underestimates the enemy's capabilities. I'm afraid your path ends here, Hitaki Kakashi. None of you will go any further. Kakashi flinched once he saw those menacing red eyes. He knew that upon the Manjinkyu's appearance, everyone would be screwed. Looking at his team, Kakashi assessed who was the best choice to team up with him against Itachi. Sakura used a lot of chakra saving Kankuro and didn't have enough to face Itachi. Chio had the experience, but her agility probably wasn't the same as before. Naruto, I can't face Itachi alone. I need your help. By this time, Naruto already fell into position next to Kakashi as both Sakura and Chio stepped back a little bit. Kakashi charged against Itachi immediately, as Itachi with unknown speed, made hand seals, before gathering air inside his lungs. Kaitenhausenka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Mythical Fire Phoenix Jutsu. The consecutive shots of fire were enough to stop Kakashi's charge, forcing him to dodge. The last one, Kakashi jumped in midair, before warning the group that Itachi would attack once more. Kaiten Gukakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu. The fireball was huge and it charged against the group with great speed as the oxygen in the air allowed the ball to grow even more. Naruto, though, had a starting plan, so as Sakura and Chio jumped away, Naruto did some fast hand seals as he focused on a nearby water supply below ground. Suten Suigarden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Fang Jutsu. Suddenly, from the nearby stream of water a jet of water suddenly erupted and charged against the incoming fireball, extinguishing Itachi's technique. Also, because of the element superiority, the water beam charged against Itachi, who jumped in midair in order to dodge the technique, quite to Naruto's smirk as he was counting on that. Gathering a group of 4 shuriken, he threw them at Itachi's direction, but immediately frowned once he sensed his chakra being invaded. The shuriken suddenly stopped their course and started spinning towards Naruto, instead. He should have known never to underestimate those eyes, but he practiced long and hard how to feel the genjutsu invading his body and how to immediately dispel it. Gathering his hands, Naruto managed to overcome Itachi's chakra, thus dispelling the genjutsu. The Uchiha was quite surprised at how easily Naruto broke free from his illusion. However, when he was about to cast a stronger illusion on the blonde, Kakashi came charging at him with his favorite lightning attack, forcing Itachi to evade by grabbing Kakashi's wrist and using the momentum to flip his body all the way towards Naruto's position. What's the plan, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked as he eyed Itachi. Pick your bow staff and charge once you see the signal. Don't forget to avoid eye contact. I'll provide backup while you charge at him. Suddenly, another Kakashi appeared from below the ground as he tried to deliver an uppercut at his chin, but failed miserably. However, his intention was to keep the enemy occupied as Naruto was already by his side, with his bow staff in hand. Naruto focused some wind chakra throughout the metallic staff, and it started glowing. Naruto meant to kill. Itachi saw that he wouldn't be able to parry the weapon and jumped out of the way of the attack. Kakashi was already making hand seals as he unleashed a great fireball technique at Itachi. The Uchiha did the same thing and the attacks collided, causing a major explosion throughout the clearing. When the smoke faded, only Itachi and Kakashi faced each other as Naruto was nowhere to be found. The silver-haired Junin charged Itachi with taijutsu as he began with a series of kicks and punches against Itachi. However, the Uchiha was faster as he managed to immobilize Kakashi's body and grabbed the man's head, positioning it in front of his, forcing eye contact between the two. Kakashi was trapped in Itachi's genjutsu, instantly. However, as the genjutsu was in full effect, Itachi noticed something amiss. "I see, you're a cage bunshin," Itachi said, as the clone grabbed Itachi, forcing him to remain in his position. Suddenly, Kakashi appeared from the hole he created prior to the explosion and screamed for Naruto to attack now that Itachi was immobilized. Naruto, from out nowhere, charged against Itachi with a much bigger Rasengan. "Take this, Udama Rasengan," screamed Naruto as he slammed the blue sphere into Itachi, before a huge backlash of chakra enveloped the arena, increasing the wind and sending sand and debris everywhere. Kakashi was still focused on the fight, seeing if Itachi had managed to dodge the attack. Sakura and Chio were amazed at the technique. Naruto, though, was looking at the smiling face of Itachi, before his body was propelled towards a set of trees. Why the hell was he smiling after receiving the Rasengan? Thought Naruto as he went to see Itachi's position and confirm what happened. When the group went to check what happened, they were shocked to see someone else wearing the Akatsuki robes. Chio recognized the identity immediately. "I know this man," Chio said, alerting everyone's attention. "His name is Yura and he was one of Suna's advisors. His body went missing a couple days ago." Kakashi was examining the possibility of Itachi doing such a technique, but he didn't think possible. Either way, their mission wasn't over and rescuing Gaara was their top priority. Still, Kakashi wanted to know about the real Itachi's position as for this technique, one must be rather close to their location. Kisame X Team Guy ===. It's been a couple days since Team 10 received the mission from Tsunade-sama to serve as backup for Kakashi's team and together they would be rescuing the Kazekage from the hands of Akatsuki. 3 years ago, if someone were to ask to Guy, Lee, Neji and Tenten about this organization, none of them would even know who they were, nor what their purpose was. However, ever since their first appearance in Konoha territory, a considerable investigation was in progress and every shinobi ranked Chunin and above was obliged to read the entire content of this research. Whether or not Team Guy knew about the real reason behind this organization's interest in Naruto, they knew about some of their abilities and how skilled they are. Right now, the team was passing through the immense desert heading to Suna. Suddenly, the team stopping their movement once they saw someone approaching or rather something as it appeared that they could only see bandages approaching their position like a shark in water, seconds away from attacking his prey. The team was ready for battle as suddenly a person rose from the ground with black robes, carrying a bandaged weapon. The man was smiling at them with sharp teeth. "I was getting eager for a little fight, thought I could use you four to calm my nerves." The man's figure didn't need introductions, well at least not for Tenten and Neji as they recognized the man instantly from the bingo book. Guy and Lee, though, didn't know him at all, but Guy wouldn't ever underestimate an opponent, no matter his opponent's appearance. Kisame suddenly jumped from the rock he was standing on, before landing a few feet apart from Guy. "You're," said Guy. "Ah, so you know me, huh? My legend precedes me after all." Kisame didn't know, but Guy, while looking at him, was trying to remember who the hell this dude was. Kisame took his chance and charged the group with Samehada, but everyone managed to dodge. Lee approached Kisame before inclining his body and landing a strong upper kick on Kisame's hand, sending the sword flying. Tenten took the opportunity and sent a couple of kunai at Kisame, who in turn just grabbed them with his right hand. By this time, his sword had already returned to his hand once more. Neji began evaluating the man's chakra with his Byakugan and smiled upon knowing he was a Suiten user. "We have the advantage here, there is no source of water nearby." Kisame smirked, while observing Konoha's famous Byakugan in action. "Surely, Figuring out his prime affinity just by looking required a dojutsu. The fish-like shinobi laughed once more and threw his sword up in the air. You're quite proud of those eyes of yours, Hyuga. But that isn't an issue for someone like me. As Kisum finished the last hand seals, he started gathering lots and lots of water inside his lungs. Sutenbaku Sushoa, water release. Bursting water collision waves jutsu. Once he couldn't take it anymore, he expelled all the gathered water from his mouth, as a little waterfall was formed, pretty much transforming the dry desert into a nice lake, quite to Team Guy's astonishment. Fighting a Suten user in the desert was an advantage they could exploit with ease, seeing as its every water user's weakness, but this man doesn't possess such weakness. Just as the technique was over, Samehada appeared once more in Kisum's hand as he laughed at his opponent's faces. Suddenly, the man skidded on top of the water as he charged at his opponents. Guy was already with his nunchaku as Kisum tried attacking him with a vertical assault. Holding the sword with his weapon, Guy managed to land a powerful kick on the man's chest, which sent him skidding a bit. Getting up, Kisum was surprised when Lee came from his back and landed a roundhouse kick on Kisum's face. Guy took the opportunity and embraced Kisum's Samehada with his right leg. The Konoha Junin tried wielding the fierce weapon against Kisum. Suddenly, something happened and from the weapon, emerged some spines that forced Guy to let go. Kisum all this time grinned at the man's misfortune. Sorry, but my sword is self-reliant. It chooses the wielder and in this case, it chooses me. Kisum saw that the entire team moved to attack him at the same time, causing him to smirk as he proceeded with his plan to get rid of these three nuisances. Focusing some chakra, the man produced 3 Mizu Bunshins. As the team approached, the Bunshins started making a quick succession of hand seals. Suten Suiru no Jutsu, water release, water prison jutsu. As they extended their hands, water rose from them until it enveloped Lee, Neji and Tenten inside a bubble of water. Guy shouted the names and was about to help them, but the real Kisum stopped him by charging him with Samehada vertically once more. Guy managed to stop the sword's advance with his weapon, however the strength behind the attack was too much and Guy couldn't hold the control over his chakra to remain afloat. He was propelled below water, before reaching the bottom of the river. Kisum smirked as he placed his sword between his arms, before joining his hands in a prayer position. Suten Goshokuzame, water release, 5 sharks eating jutsu. As he slammed his hands on the water, chakra started leaking from his hand as he created 5 sharks to charge at Guy. Meanwhile, Neji was observing the technique he was now trapped in and his teammates as well. Lee and Tenten clearly were having trouble holding their breath as they were in a fight against an S-ranked missing nin. But Neji was a Junin and he'd been through adverse situations before. He would just have to focus and get out of this predicament. Activating his Byakugan, Neji started to analyze the water prison technique and how each Mizu Bunshin maintains the flow of chakra. At first, he didn't find any alternative he could exploit and he was beginning to get desperate. Tenten and Lee were seconds away of drowning, he needed to think of something fast. Suddenly, his Byakugan gave him a way out. The water prison technique requires constant flow of chakra to be maintained. Not only that, but the technique links both the victim and the caster, allowing Neji to get out of the prison and eliminate the Bunshin at the same time. He would have to be fast, though. Tenten was already losing her conscience and he didn't want to think of how much water she ended up swallowing. Focusing on the Hyuga's impenetrable defensive chitin, heavenly spin, Neji started exhaling chakra from all over his tenketsu, before spinning it. The Bunshin realized immediately, but he couldn't do anything as Neji managed to stop the flow of chakra needed to maintain the water technique. The Hyuga prodigy got out of the technique and immediately landed a powerful Juken strike on his Bunshin, dispelling him. The other two were caught as well, seeing as they were busy holding the other two. As Lee and Tenten were occupied with breathing once more, Neji was now facing the real Kisum, while Guy was below water dealing with the sharks. Neji suddenly focused chakra on the palm of his hand for a new jutsu he created. Hakakushu, 8 divination signs air palm. Before Kisum could understand what was happening, he was sent flying backwards. He only managed to stop by focusing chakra on his feet, but when he was about to retaliate the Hyuga, the water began to glow green. The reason was unknown to him, but Guy took the opportunity after the sharks to open 5 of the celestial gates. Suddenly, the river transformed into pillars of water as Guy's chakra was enough to do just that. The green beast of Konoha jumped from his position and landed in front of Kisum, who flees upwards towards the pillar of water, but Guy was faster and engaged him in midair. Kisum tried hitting him with Samehada, but Guy quickly evaded and landed a fast kick on Kisum, who was sent flying immediately. Kisum was wondering how fast the man was, before Guy appeared once more in front of him with white hollow eyes. Kisum had lost the battle and he knew it right there. A Sakujaku, morning peacock taijutsu style. Guy's fists combusted as he landed a mean series of punches at Kisum, who couldn't even defend himself against the assault. The last one sent the enemy flying towards the ground, but just as it happened to Itachi, the real enemy revealed himself as no more than a Suna Junin with Akatsuki's black robes. Deidara and Sasori . Oblivious to the fight between Itachi and Konoha, Sasori and Deidara traveled slowly towards the organization hideout where the first Biju would be extracted. Stopping a while on top of a boulder, the double looked down to see a small river and the entrance to a cave blocked by a giant stone. Upon approaching the entrance, Deidara focused some chakra on his ring in order to send a signal to the seal located on the stone. In no time, the stone suddenly lifted off the ground until the cave inside became plainly visible. Deidara and Sasori walked on top of the water path, before both stepped inside the cave ground. Once there, an astral projection of a man with strange swirling eyes turned to greet them. "You're both late," the man's voice was deep and methodical as he complained. "Yeah, the Ichibi Jinchuriki turned out to be quite a challenge to overcome," Deidara said, while scratching the back of his head. "Never mind, at least the Jinchuriki is in our hands." The astral projection started with some hand seals, before he slammed his hands on the ground. The entire cave started trembling as a strange statue appeared from the ground. Its material was unknown, but had the shape of a skeleton as the creature wore a blindfold and both hands were visible. With but a word from the astral projection, 6 more presences materialized on top of each finger. Deidara and Sasori took their respective positions. Suddenly, a man with a big sword strapped on his back, which by the appearance, was former Mist Nin Hoshigaki Kisum, decided to treat some more pressing matters. The extraction technique will be somewhat difficult without Orochimaru. Perhaps it would be wiser to add more chakra to the technique. Indeed, said Uchiha Itachi, as the only given hint that it was him was his red Sharingan eyes. Then, one by one, the fingers started glowing until a specific kanji appeared on each one. When the chakra was adequate for the technique, the one with the swirling eyes remained with the ram hand seal, as he focused on the technique. Fuinjutsu Genryu Q Fujin, Sealing Art. Complete 9 Mystical Dragon Seal. Suddenly, the statue's mouth opened and exhaled a purple color beam, before it dissolved into 9 different ones. Each of them resembled the shape of the dragon as they charged the unconscious Gaara. Upon contact, there was a mild explosion on the ground as Gaara was enveloped inside a purple cocoon. The procedure has begun and in 3 days, the Ichibi will be captured and Gaara will be dead. Team Kakashi . After dealing with Itachi, Kakashi and his team tried following Gaara's trail, but it was to no avail. Akatsuki wouldn't be S-ranked missing nins if they left clues of their position. Kakashi, though, had an ace up his sleeve as he cut his thumb and summoned his canine detective Pakken. Before leaving, Suna managed to retrieve a piece of Gaara's clothing, so Pakken's sensitive nose would be able to locate their position by following Gaara's scent. The only problem was that the canine decided once more to comment on Sakura's pink hair, infuriating her a bit. She was about to charge at the damn dog before Kakashi stopped her. "Pakken, we have to hurry, find Gaara's trail and take us to his position." The dog saluted the Junin like a soldier to his commander. Sniffing the clothing a bit, Pakken suddenly jumped towards a certain direction further inside river country. The team soon followed as they just entered inside a dark forest, where the sunlight was having trouble passing through the bushy trees. While following the little canine, Kakashi slowed the pace a little to discuss something with Naruto. At each fight these two participated in, Naruto would show a new ability Kakashi wasn't even aware he possessed. First, it was the ability to increase the air current inside the hospital. Now, during the fight against Itachi, the man casted a considerable genjutsu on Naruto and the blonde had just overcome it like it was nothing. Not to mention the fact that Naruto's Rasengan was stronger than before. If Kakashi were to compare, he would think of his sensei Minato. While, of course, Minato's was more controlled and precise, Naruto actually surpassed in strength and power. Naruto, what more are you hiding from me, your sensei? Kakashi figured that beating around the bush wouldn't solve his present predicament, and certainly Naruto would be intimidated and give him everything he could do. However, despite the desperate times Naruto was now facing, he just smiled while looking at Kakashi from the corner of his eyes. He knew no rule that stated Kakashi should be aware of everything he can do. But the blonde enjoyed Kakashi's face of frustration when he said he isn't obliged to say more than what Kakashi already knows. Please Kakashi-sensei, right now we have to focus on rescuing Gaara, now is not the time. Kakashi was about to pressure further, but he heard Guy shouting his name, as Team Guy joined the gang. Tenten and Lee joined with Sakura as they started talking, and Neji sided with Naruto. The Hyuga prodigy eyed Naruto for a second, while studying him with care. Naruto's chakra network was a lot different than before, and more than one affinity was present, not allowing Neji to see which one was the stronger. You know Neji, I'm starting to feel rather violated here, could you please stop looking at me with those eyes of yours? The Junin snorted at the comment, but he deactivated the eyes. You didn't change so much as I expected you to. Still joking around. As the conversation went on, the team arrived at the same river Deidara and Sasori was a few hours before. According to Pakken, Gaara was inside the cave. Kakashi thanked his canine detective before dismissing the little puppy. Afterward, the entire team was in front of the cave entrance as Kakashi spotted the seal located in the middle of the stone. How we get in there? Lee asked, before Guy rested his hands on his shoulders with his trademark smile. In little to no time, Guy did some backflips as he focused all the chakra he possesses into one single strike, one that would shatter any rock no matter how strong it may be. Guy was confident that his attack would shatter the stone as he started running very fast towards the stone. In seconds, his fist landed on the stone. However, little to nothing happened as the barrier absorbed the attack entirely. Kakashi and Chio was studying the seal for a moment, before both concurred that it was a 5-barrier seal. In order for us to lift this barrier, we must locate the other 4 seals that are acting together with the one in front of us. Neji, would you do the honors? With a simple nod, Neji activated his Byakugan. Instantly, he started looking all around the field for the seal's position as he was slowly pinpointing the other 4 seals' location. Problem was that the seals were very far away from each other, and in order to lift the barrier, all seals must be ripped off at the same time. It was at this time that Guy gave the idea that his team would locate the seals and deal with them. They would contact each other via wireless headsets. As Team Guy left the vicinity, it didn't take long for them to reach the seals' positions. After ripping them out at the same time, it was Sakura's time to shine as she adjusted her gloves for a super punch. Just like Guy, she charged at the stone as with her perfect chakra control, she focused all of it on her fist, transforming the big stone into dust, surprising the people inside as everyone stopped the technique immediately. It seems we underestimated their skills. Sasori, Deidara, protect the Jinchuriki's body at all costs, Pain said as the astral projections vanished from the current positions. It seems our mission isn't over, huh, Sasori-senpai? Asked Deidara as he and the puppet master materialized in front of the unconscious Gaara. That's an understatement. As Naruto saw the unconscious Gaara behind the 2 Akatsuki members, Naruto narrowed his eyebrows, showing every intent of killing these 2 and saving his friend. Inside the cave, 2 groups of opponents stood immobilized, facing the other with severe scrutiny in order to grasp any possible information to capitalize upon. On the side near the cave entrance, was the joint force of 2 hidden villages, namely Konohagakure and Sunagakure, fully intent on saving the unconscious Kazekage that lied unconscious behind the 2 Akatsuki members. Deidara, for his part, kept smiling the entire time, making it appear that they were too late to salvage the leader of the hidden village of the sand. Huh, and I thought this would be relatively easy. Now we have to fight everyone and still protect his body. Deidara said as he kept his smile. After all, he enjoyed a good fight. We need to hurry up with them. I don't like to keep people waiting. While hearing the conversation, Naruto was focusing every bit of his mental capacity in order to remember what little information he had on the 2 members. The blonde one's name was Deidara and he was a missing nin from Iwagakure. Jiraiya often mentioned that he knew little to nothing about his skills, but the pervert knew him to be long-range type. Regarding the man's partner though, Naruto didn't recognize this man, if he could even be called a man. His appearance was strange and the blonde wondered if he was even human. Looking at Kakashi, Naruto asked him about their course of action. We have to establish whether or not the Kazekage is still alive first. Their position suggests every intention of protecting Gaara's body, so it's likely that they still need him for something. I guess we'll have to engage these two in combat. Be careful though, they're S-ranked criminals. Naruto, you and I will take on the blonde, while Chio and Sakura will take the other guy. Upon hearing the plan, everyone nodded and assumed their respective battle stances. Suddenly though, a huge explosion erupted in the middle of the field, creating a dense fog. Quickly, Naruto made some hand seals and molded some chakra. Fuyuten Daitopper, wind release. Great breakthrough technique. The sudden increase in wind was enough to blow the fog away, but it didn't prevent Deidara from fleeing on top of a white bird of some sort, forcing Kakashi and Naruto to follow behind. Since the other was still there, Sakura and Chio remained inside the cave. Sakura, we need to be careful with him, Chio said as he focused her entire attention on the Akatsuki's puppet user. To Sakura, it sounded like the old woman knew the man they were facing, but Chio beat her approaching question and explained. I'd recognize the use of Kagutsu, puppet art, anytime, and I certainly recognize the one in front of us. I guess we finally meet Sasori-kun. The Akatsuki member muttered a single snort at the comment. I wasn't expecting for you to know it was me, though I am not surprised that you figured it out, Abasan, grandmother. As soon as the words reached Sakura's ears, she looked in shock at Chio, who never took her eyes away from Sasori. For 20 years, I wondered what had happened to you. You fled the village willingly and became a missing nin. How could you do something like this? Spare me the sentimental crap, Chio Abasan, mumbled Sasori, much to Chio's snarling as he continued. I wouldn't have done half the things I accomplished if I was driven by sentimentality alone. Being tied to a hidden village makes you weak and hinders any shinobi's potential. No matter what ambitions I had, I was prohibited by the late Sandaime Kazekage. I chose to leave, because if I stayed there, I would never reach my full potential, and as you can see, I am pleased with the results and will never regret my decision. Sakura was watching the interaction between grandson and grandmother, but in actuality she was looking at Sasori, while trying to gather some information on the weird-looking guy. But it was a rather difficult task, considering that everything was hidden behind the Akatsuki robe. According to the old woman, the being in front of them wasn't Sasori, but a puppet. Sakura just hoped that she would be strong enough to face an S-ranked criminal with an extensive knowledge of Kagutsu and deadly poison. Sakura, you'll need to do everything I tell you in order to beat him. It appeared that the discussion was over and that the biggest fight of Sakura's life would begin. With Naruto . After leaving the cave, Naruto and Kakashi followed the flying Deidara, who was carrying Gaara's unconscious body. The technique managed to extract a considerable chunk of the demon trapped inside the Kazekage, and because of this, no one knew if Gaara would even wake up. Nevertheless, Konoha wouldn't give up on him just yet as Naruto and Kakashi followed from the ground. The altitude was a problem in their eyes and both knew that Deidara could simply escape with Gaara's body. Kakashi-sensei, what should we do? If he stays up there? I know, Naruto, I'm thinking. None of our techniques have a long enough reach and he certainly will dodge anything that he sees coming towards him. Naruto knew something about his sensei that few people did. Kakashi was the elite of shinobi in Konoha for a reason, and he'd managed to defeat every single opponent he ever encountered, at least so far, that is. Surely, Kakashi must have a technique to use. Suddenly, Naruto saw that Kakashi exposed the Sharingan and was now focused on the Tiger Seal. Naruto, I'm not certain if this technique will bring him down, but it will certainly hold him in place for you to act. The blonde smiled at the vote of confidence, when he noticed something strange about Kakashi's Sharingan. Its design was different now, he couldn't describe it, but it wasn't the three normal tomes any longer. I didn't know that the Sharingan could be evolved past the three tomes. Wait, I remember Jiraiya talking about Itachi's new Sharingan, Mangenkyu I guess the name was. Did Kakashi reach Itachi's level? I guess that will be a question for later. Kakashi was focusing his entire attention on Deidara now, not even aware that Naruto wasn't by his side any longer as he got deep inside the woods, focusing as much chakra as he could on his feet, as well as controlling the air resistance in front of him to run faster. But his attention never diverted from the flying Akatsuki member. It took only a moment to dodge an incoming tree branch, before Naruto saw something that surprised him greatly. Deidara was involved in some sort of transparent wave and was having trouble escaping from it. Whatever it was, this was his signal to move. As for Kakashi, he was focusing every bit of chakra into his eyes as he managed to hold the technique longer. The dimension he created around Deidara wasn't enough to deal with the enemy, but the least he could do was to hold the man a while longer so that Naruto could find a way to bring him down. As the technique required a lot of chakra to work, Kakashi started focusing on at least severing a limb or two, inhibiting his movements. He managed to take one arm, before he stopped the technique. He just hoped that Naruto managed to find a way to bring Deidara down. Suddenly as he looked, he could see a trail of white smoke going up, much to his surprise as he recognized Naruto's shadow clones. Kakashi smiled at such improvisation. Naruto used Cage Bunshin after Cage Bunshin in order to reach Deidara's level. Then, Kakashi's Sharingan could see Naruto grabbing 2 windmill shurikens out of nowhere, before focusing chakra through the metal. It was something odd that Kakashi felt as he saw Naruto taking action. 3 years ago, Naruto would have done something wrong and ruined the chance, but now Kakashi's opinion was different. He had faith in Naruto. Deidara seemed to be focusing only on his missing arm and didn't notice Naruto was close by as the blonde threw the windmill shuriken straight at Deidara's position. Deidara was holding his shoulder, while screaming like never before. He was more perplexed than in pain, as he wondered what kind of technique Sharingan no Kakashi used on him. He was so absorbed in pain and perplexity that he didn't see Naruto's windmill shuriken approaching his position with the promise of cutting him in half. As soon as he looked up, his eyes widened to extreme proportions. From his position, he could see only one approaching him, and after focusing chakra to his legs, Deidara managed to jump over the shuriken in time, but because of the wind chakra surrounding the weapon, the Akatsuki member felt a deep slash on his stomach. The pain blinded him to the second windmill shuriken's presence, but contrary to the first one, the shuriken's target was the bird. It ripped the clay bird in half and Gaara's unconscious body started falling, until 2 Naruto clones grabbed him, while at the same time focused on wind chakra in order to smooth the drop until they landed on top of a tree. The real Naruto was just waiting on the ground as he saw Deidara falling down hard. At the same time, Kakashi arrived and looked at his student for a while, before sighing in dismay. Naruto was an entirely different man and he didn't know how someone could change so much in such a short amount of time. Not only did he manage to rescue Gaara from an S-ranked criminal, but also managed to severely wound him to the point that Deidara might not be able to get away alive. Suddenly, a blur appeared in front of them, as Deidara threw a great number of clay spiders at Kakashi and Naruto. As soon as the spiders reached the 2 ninjas' location, he triggered a huge explosion, enveloping both Naruto and Kakashi completely. Despite the pain, the Akatsuki member smiled at winning the battle, before he realized that the clones didn't vanish like expected. Suddenly, Deidara felt chakra usage inside the blast. Suten Suijin Heki, water release water wall technique. Instantly, the fire was extinguished as Naruto immediately charged Deidara with his bow staff, forcing the man to use his least favorite skill. Close contact fighting. It didn't mean that he was a pushover as Naruto couldn't land a hit. As Deidara managed to retreat a distance from the rather petulant shinobi, he threw a couple more clay spiders at Naruto. Before they could hit him, however, 2 kunai suddenly impaled the spiders, causing them to explode in advance, much to Deidara's ire. As Kakashi landed next to Naruto, he received a thank you from his student. Watch out for that clay of his, Naruto. My Sharingan detected a large gathering of chakra within those clay spiders, and from what I was able to grasp, our opponent uses his clay like a bomb. Don't let it get near you, or else you're done for, said Kakashi, as he charged Deidara with a Chidori in his right hand. Deidara was impaled instantly, but as soon as the hand appeared through his back, he turned into clay, forcing Kakashi to jump away from a barrage of clay serpents that headed his way. This time, Naruto came to the rescue as he went through a series of hand seals. Fuyuten Kazakiri, wind release, wind cutter technique. One by one, the serpents were sliced in half. Naruto wasn't through as he located Deidara's whereabouts, hiding behind a couple of trees a few meters northeast. This time, going through a long series of hand seals, Naruto focused a large quantity of chakra before a giant water dragon roared from behind Deidara. Suten Suryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon technique. The Earth user turned a minute too late and was enveloped completely by the technique. Kakashi didn't waste any time and immediately sent a lightning wolf straight towards the wet Deidara. He understood quite quickly that his life was at over if the wolf reached his position, so Deodara gathered a bit of clay from his pouch and produced a big ball of clay. He threw it at the incoming wolf, before fleeing while the two shinobi were busy dealing with the explosion. His objective was the sand Jinchuriki, and seeing as Konoha had Gaara in their custody, his job was now to retrieve the body and flee right away. However, it seemed like the blonde's clones just vanished and Deodara was becoming impatient. Suddenly, he saw the two behind a large bush and smiled. Producing two spiders, Deodara surprised the clones as he ignited the clay arachnids, immediately dispelling the clones. Gaara's body fell limp on the ground, earning a smile from Deodara upon seeing his prize in front of him. However, it took one step on his part before a great array of shuriken stopped his movement, causing the man to snarl from the Leaf Shinobi's attempts. Immediately, the real Naruto and Kakashi landed in front of Gaara as they observed Deodara with severe scrutiny. So far, they only managed to take one of his arms and damage some parts of his body, but this fight was taking longer than expected. And where chakra was involved, prolonging a fight against an S-ranked criminal would only lead to chakra waste, chakra that could be used for other means like taking the Kazekage to a safe place. As a leader, Kakashi started analyzing the pros and cons of dealing with Deodara or fleeing with the Kazekage's body. The mission is to rescue Gaara, not deal with the Akatsuki. However, Kakashi knew that Deodara wouldn't allow him to flee that easily. He was a man of unknown resources with that clay of his. Looking at Naruto from the corner of his eyes, Kakashi started formulating a plan. The techniques Naruto pulled thus far, the agility he displaced when crossing the desert ran through his mind. To this point, Kakashi wasn't sure if he saw everything Naruto was capable of. His plan was simple. Naruto would keep Deodara occupied while Kakashi contacted Guy's team and handed Gaara to them. They would take him back to Suna while his team handled the Akatsuki. Naruto, can you keep him occupied for a moment? Naruto looked at his sensei from the corner of his eyes, before looking at the opponent once more. What are you planning, Kakashi-sensei? Our top priority right now is to rescue Gaara and take him back to Suna. I'll hand him to Guy and then return to assist you. Naruto stopped for a moment to analyze the situation. From the looks of things, Kakashi was only waiting for his signal in order to proceed with the plan. Deodara was a tough opponent and his explosive clay was deadly if placed in contact with the enemy. However, what Kakashi didn't know was that Naruto wasn't showing everything and his absence could give Naruto the choice to deal with Deodara properly. I'm good here, Kakashi-sensei, take Gaara to safety. I'll cover you. The smile on his face scared Kakashi for a moment. He knew how much Naruto craved for a fight here and he wondered what he was hiding. Looking at Deodara one last time, Kakashi quickly grabbed Gaara's body and vanished towards the river, surprising Deodara, who grabbed some clay inside his pouch. However, his instincts told him to jump the same time as a sword of wind charged at his old position, slicing through the tree entirely. Deodara looked at the blonde only to see that he was smiling. Now that my sensei is busy with other things, we can increase the level a bit. It didn't take 1 second before Naruto took his weapon and charged Deodara in close combat. This time, though, the battle rhythm was different as the Akatsuki member tried dodging Naruto's combo. It was like his speed doubled and Deodara wasn't sure if he could dodge for much longer. Suddenly, as soon as he dodged a swing that was aimed after his head, Deodara was surprised when he sensed Naruto's kick to his chin, sending him flying. Jumping high, Naruto started beating Deodara like a punching bag with his staff, before he finished with a powerful stroke to Deodara's shoulder. The noise of bone breaking echoed through the clearing, before he was immersed in pain. He was falling very fast, but Naruto still had one attack left as he was falling as well. Doing some hand seals, he exhaled a ball of air straight towards Deodara, accelerating his fall. The hole created by his fall was huge and Naruto landed safely next to it as he looked at his opponent who was holding his dislocated shoulder, while looking at Naruto with pure anger. Naruto was about to carry out the finishing move, when suddenly 2 jets of water charged at him out nowhere, forcing him to jump away. He looked up to see a redhead with 2 strange metallic structure on his back, landing in front of the injured Deodara. The blonde Akatsuki member looked up and saw the man in front of him, before he remembered his partner's true form. Sasori-senpai. It seems I overestimated your capabilities, Deodara. Getting beat by a teenager. Instantly, Naruto feared the worst as he heard the interaction between these two. If he was the other one, then what happened to Sakura and Elder Chio? Before he could ask Sasori what happened, the man smiled and addressed Naruto. Took a little while for me to recognize you, but now I know why you beat Deidara, Kyuubi no Jinchuriki. Naruto immediately narrowed his eyebrows upon being discovered, but maintained his focus. Deidara was beaten, his shoulder was dislocated and the pain he was feeling prohibited him from even moving. The problem was this new opponent in front of him. He knew next to nothing about him and this fact alone scared Naruto. It was one thing to fight a god whose powers are largely known, but it was another thing to fight a human to whom he knew next to nothing about. In the ninja world, even the tiniest detail could mean his death in the battlefield. Jiraiya taught him that much. Naruto didn't want to think the worse and he prayed that Sakura was alright. With Kakashi . As soon as he left Naruto, Kakashi immediately contacted Guy through the intercom. The news he received wasn't the one he expected. Guy's team was facing their carbon copies as it happened to be the seal's mechanism of defense. His only choice, right now, was to assist Guy and deal with his copy, before he could count on the green beast of Konoha. It didn't take much time before Kakashi arrived at the fight's location. They were on a cliff a few miles north of Naruto's location. To Kakashi, it was an amazing display of taijutsu between masters. But the mission required Guy's help and he couldn't wait for the man to deal with this on his own. The problem was that he couldn't figure out who the real Guy was and using the Sharingan for it required a great deal of chakra. However, it was needed for this occasion. Before he lifted his Hitai 8 however, he saw the real Guy greeting him with that goofy smile and the usual thumbs up, allowing Kakashi to locate the real Guy. Leave it to Guy to do something like that in the middle of a fight. Focusing on a quick series of hand seals, Kakashi created a thick mist that enveloped the two combatants. When the other Guy realized what was happening, his throat was sliced by Kakashi's kunai. Once dealt with, Kakashi handed Gaara to Guy, who gave his word to take Gaara to safety. Kakashi, then, focused the chakra that he was saving and shunshin to Naruto's location. Once he appeared, he saw that Naruto was facing a new opponent and he wondered what happened to the other one. Seeing that the blonde wasn't in immediate danger, Kakashi scouted the region for the other opponent. He found Deidara badly injured inside a hole and wondered how Naruto was able to deal with the slippery snake. Seeing his chance to deal with an Akatsuki opponent, Kakashi transformed into the Anbu captain he once was. While watching the other enemy firing jets of water at Naruto and the blonde dodging skillfully, Kakashi immediately landed behind Deidara, who was occupied nurturing his broken bones. Activating his Chidori, Kakashi plunged his hand in Deidara's heart, before the man was able to realize who was behind him. However, for an S-ranked criminal, it was too easy and Kakashi realized that upon looking the clay doll in front of him just like last time. Sighing in dismay at the elusive individual, Kakashi focused on Naruto's fight against the other opponent. Naruto fired a gust of wind at the man's direction, but he jumped out of the wind's reach, before attacking Naruto this time with a strong jet of fire, forcing the blonde to use the water wall technique to defend himself. Using his Sharingan, Kakashi managed to detect the same presence as he felt inside the cave and concluded that he was Deidara's partner. So, what happened to Sakura and Chio? Oh my god, it can't be, they can't be dead, Obito, Rin, Kakashi-sensei. The man turned immediately to see Sakura carrying a badly injured Chio. He immediately went to help them, before he placed the old woman behind some bushes for Sakura to take care of her. While doing this, Kakashi asked for a full report on the man Naruto was fighting. Sakura explained the man's name was Sasori of the Red Sands and Kakashi's eyes widened to unseen proportions. It was the man who killed the Sandaime Kazekage, Sasori of the Red Sands. Sakura explained that the man was insane and that he transformed the Sandaime Kazekage's body into a puppet just so he could use the man's bloodline, Iron Sand. Sakura explained that Chio was able to destroy the Kazekage's puppet by using her selection of puppets, but Sasori was far too powerful for them and almost killed Chio with a deadly poison. I managed to make an antidote while in Suna that cured her, but she is in need of medical assistance, ASAP, explained Sakura, earning a nod from Kakashi. We managed to secure Gaara, he's with Guy right now. However, I have to help Naruto. He managed to deal with the man's partner but I fear Sasori in on a whole other level. I trust that you'll be safe here Sakura. Sasori is the last enemy left. Deidara is far too injured to pose a danger, but keep your eyes peeled for his presence. Sakura nodded and comforted Chio with her medical technique, while Kakashi went to help Naruto, before he heard them talking for a bit. You know, for a teenager, you certainly have skills, Jinchuriki. Anyone else would be dead right now, but you managed to hold your ground against me, and that's saying something. Sasori said, while holding two swords in each hand, dripping with a strange black liquid. Naruto was already panting for breath. Sure, his chakra capacity was larger than a few Junin put together, but fighting against S-ranked criminals was an entirely different scenario. It didn't mean he wasn't enjoying this fight, though. I thank you for the compliment. I'm enjoying this fight immensely. However, I fear this is taking too long, don't you think? Sasori smiled at the blonde's courage. He had only one scroll left on his back, which was his ultimate weapon to use. To this point, he never used this particular scroll because he never felt the need to. However, with the Kazekage gone as well as the fire and water scrolls, he'd have to use this as last resort. Suddenly, the scroll vanished and it appeared in front of Sasori, before it opened. Immediately, 100 puppets appeared, before Sasori opened his left chest to reveal an intricate set of chakra wires connecting to every one of the puppets. Naruto watched in awe as the sheer number of puppets just waiting for the leader's order to attack. He bet that just like Sasori's weapons, the puppets were loaded with deadly poison. Taking his staff, Naruto started spinning over the top of his head in preparation for a technique of his creation. As a shinobi, the blonde learned that secrecy was his most trusted ally and that showing off his full skills would spell trouble in the future. However, he didn't have a choice this time, manner, as the puppets in front of him would easily slice him to pieces otherwise. You should feel honored, Jinchuriki. By this time, Naruto's bow staff was already spinning fast enough to create small gusts of wind around him. Why is that? Asked Naruto, to which Sasori smiled. You're the first one to see this collection of mine. Quite beautiful, aren't they? No matter what you're trying to do, you just can't stop them all. Naruto immediately released one of his hands from the staff, while never ceasing the movement. He started to mold the necessary chakra exactly the same time Sasori's puppets started to charge. The wind around the blonde began to increase, until it created an invisible shield around him. Fuyuten Bue Engai, wind release, protective dome technique. Kakashi saw them move and cursed as he arrived too late to stop the puppets from attacking his student. As he looked at the position Naruto was in, he suddenly sensed a huge usage of wind chakra. As he focused on his Sharingan, he could see a dome of sword protecting Naruto from all the attacks. Naruto started spinning the staff faster, while at the same time molding the necessary chakra. This technique was his defensive trademark, but for someone with a huge chakra capacity like him, chakra control was his weakness. The technique required a constant molding of chakra in order to remain active, and while he trained his chakra control, it wasn't 100%. One by one, the puppets were being sliced upon coming in contact with Naruto's technique, but their numbers were too much for Naruto and he was starting to lose control over the technique. Sasori already lost more than a half of the puppets, but he managed to see that the blonde's admirable efforts were starting to fade. Suddenly, Naruto relinquished control over his technique while Sasori still had 20 puppets under his control. The man had a smile on his face as he saw the defenseless individual panting on the ground. As the other puppets attacked, Sasori was sure this time that the Jinchuriki was within his grasp. Surely, finding the one-tailed Jinchuriki wouldn't be too hard, and by capturing the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, the Akatsuki would have the strongest tailed beast ever to grace these lands, in their custody. Nothing could stop him now. Doton Doryuheiki, Earth Release. Earth Wall Technique. Sasori was surprised when the sudden Earth Wall Technique appeared and wondered just who was the cause. The Jinchuriki, as far as he knew, didn't have an Earth affinity. Naruto looked up to see his sensei in front of him, molding chakra to maintain the Earth Wall Technique. Sensei. Sorry I took a little while to arrive, Naruto. We managed to secure Gaara, Guy is taking him to Suna as we speak. Kakashi explained, before Naruto got up with a smile on his face as held his right shoulder. I'm glad to hear that, but how can we beat this guy? Right now, he's counting on those puppets to deal with us. We just have to destroy them. How much chakra do you have left? If Naruto had to guess, he had chakra left for 2B ranked techniques, maybe 3, but that wasn't much to beat 20 puppets and at the same time dodge the poisoned weapons. However, there was the possibility of using that chakra. Given the circumstances, he guessed he had little choice in the matter. Of course, Kakashi would object. I don't have much to use. But I could use his chakra and be done with it quickly. Kakashi knew what Naruto was talking about and he dreaded every second of it. Using the fox's chakra could help them beat Sasori, but at the same time, Naruto might lose control over it and attack everyone nearby, meaning he and Sakura as well. However, Kakashi was remembering something that Jiraiya said once they returned from their training trip. Flashback on. Jiraiya and Kakashi were inside a dango restaurant talking about what happened during their absence, when Jiraiya turned serious for a while. Kakashi, I'm handing Naruto into your care now like we discussed 3 years ago. The pervert Junin looked at the pervert for a while, before going back to his Ika Ika book. Sure thing, I trust that nothing bad happened during the training trip. Nothing relating to the fox, we trained all 3 of the ninja arts, hoping to make him stronger in order to better fight the Kyuubi's urges. I trust he has more control over the fox, maybe up to 2 tails without losing his mind over it. But to be safe, I have designed a specific seal that manages to cut off the link between the fox and his chakra. I trust that you'll manage to control him, Kakashi. In fact, I'm counting on you to do the right thing here. Kakashi remembered the one time he felt the fox's chakra being used by Naruto and he could feel how powerful it was. At the time at the bridge, Naruto wasn't even using 1 tail's worth of power. Kakashi could only imagine how much powerful he could be with 2 tails worth of the fox's energy. Don't worry Jiraiya-sama, I'll take care of him. Flashback off. Now, looking at the boy behind him, he could see a firm resolve on his face. In any case, Naruto could control the fox's chakra up to 2 tails worth of power. Okay Naruto, but don't overdo it. There is so much you can take before losing your mind. The blonde smiled at Kakashi's warning, before he focused on the fox's chakra. Suddenly, his eyes changed color and a red aura surrounded his body, healing his every wound and restoring his chakra capacity. With it, his muscles were more defined and his agility doubled. He then turned to his sensei and showed a smile that made Kakashi shiver inside. I'm glad he's on our side. I won't be long Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, as the wall succumbed and they could see 20 puppets. Sasori watched the ninjas from Konoha, before taking a closer look at the blonde one. Something had happened to him, he could feel it. Upon severe scrutiny, he could feel the fox's menacing aura. Instantly, he narrowed his eyes in deep focus as his enemy had something up his sleeve this entire time and for the first time, Sasori was outsmarted by someone. Of course, he still had numbers on his side, but for how long was the question? Immediately, 10 of his army charged Naruto at the same time. Kakashi escaped the puppet's charge as he knew what would happen if he stayed. But Naruto just remained there, looking down. When the puppets were inches away from his nose, Naruto smiled. Seconds later, a huge explosion surrounded him and the puppets. For a few seconds nothing happened until the smoke cleared and Kakashi could see a bunch of scrap wood on the ground. Sasori was able to feel one by one, his puppets being slammed, beaten and broken. It didn't take long before only 4 puppets stood between Sasori and his life as Naruto was like a blur, taking care of the opposition. Kakashi was astonished by the speed in which his student was moving. If he was already fast before the Kyuubi, now he was more like a blur, even to his Sharingan. Focusing some chakra to his red eye, Kakashi could see the same ability as he saw in the desert, just doubled. As soon as Naruto finished the last puppet, he stood in front of Sasori, breathing normally. It was an exercise both Jiraiya and his sensei Sujiro taught him. Whenever perturbed or angry with something, remember to control your breathing and clear your head of outside influences. And as he looked at the enemy, Naruto smiled at how much easier he could control the fox's power. Sasori fixed eyes with Naruto's fox-like eyes like he knew his destiny. However, for some strange reason, he didn't dread the outcome of this fight. He transformed his body into a puppet in order to rid himself from the first cause that people get killed over, emotions. A shinobi, according to Sasori, must sever all ties in order to reach his or her fullest potential. Sever ties with the village, lovers, friends, family. But now, he was watching his death in front of him and by someone who outsmarted him. If he was destined to die, then at least it was by someone whose skills he came to respect. Suddenly, Naruto started making a large series of hand seals in quick succession, before he muttered the last words that Sasori would hear. Fuyuten Surezu no Tatsumaki, wind release. Slicing tornado technique. The Akatsuki member was immediately engulfed as the hurricane started slicing his body components, as well as the scroll located where his heart should have been, killing Sasori instantly. Afterwards, Naruto managed to stop the flowing of the Kyuubi's chakra and kneeled on the ground, panting from lack of breath. Using the fox's chakra was like poison running through his veins. Every minute he used it, he felt his skin crawl and body burning up, hence why he stopped depending so much on the fox's chakra. Kakashi kneeled next to his student, deeply proud to call him that. Naruto, so far, showed every attribute of being able to deal with S-ranked opponents. Throwing Naruto's arms over his shoulders, Kakashi could feel how tired Naruto was, but that was understandable. Hell, the chakra Naruto consumed today was more than twice of his entire capacity. Within seconds, Sakura and Chio appeared to their side and Chio asked of Gaara. Kakashi explained about Guy's involvement in taking Gaara back to Suna and the fact that Neji was with them, so no one would be able to sneak up behind them and catch them by surprise. Sakura saw the state in which Naruto was in and smiled. Despite the obvious fatigue and possible broken ribs, Naruto was smiling and that alone forced her to smile in return. I never would have thought Sasori-senpai could be killed and by a brat no less, said Deidara, surprising everyone as he stood in a clearing between trees, holding what appeared to be clay with his only hand. His entire body was a mess, all courtesy of Naruto's bow staff. He was panting like crazy and only had chakra for one last technique. However, he sure as hell wouldn't let Konoha get away, even if this is the last thing he did. Bringing the clay close to his mouth, Deidara took a bite of it, before swallowing it whole, confusing them for a moment. Kakashi, though, could see with his Sharingan that the opponent was focusing all his chakra to one single spot inside his stomach. To the others, they could see Deidara inflating like a balloon, and everyone knew what happened when you pumped too much air inside a balloon. As the chakra became too unstable, the man exploded. The members of Konoha and Chio were too close and no one would be able to get away from the blast. Kakashi focused every bit of chakra, before evolving his Sharingan. However, he was too late to use it, as the ball of fire was already approaching their position. He couldn't do anything to prevent it. Naruto looked at the incoming blast and suddenly remembered something his sensei taught him. Flashback on. The sun was already setting as Naruto and Sujiro was next to the waterfall, training. Sujiro watched Naruto train non-stop and smiled at the brat's stamina and resolve in perfecting his ninjutsu techniques. Naruto, come here for a second, I want to speak with you. The blonde was hovering a couple stones by using wind chakra alone, before he stopped and approached his sensei. The man taught him so much that every time Sujiro wanted to talk to him, Naruto was all ears. Naruto, you know that when comparing other elements, wind loses to fire, right? Sure. Fire is fed by oxygen and any wind technique will just increase the flame's power. Explained Naruto, earning a smile in retrospect to how much Naruto learned in such a short period of time. Indeed, wind technique will just feed the flame, making it useless against Kaiten techniques. However, there is one situation when wind techniques can be used to beat a fire technique, can you explain to me? Sujiro asked, before he saw Naruto thinking for a bit. After some time without an answer, the man decided to enlighten his student regarding the theory behind the jutsu he aimed to teach. Well, I'll give you a hint, my boy, so listen up. You said yourself that wind increases the power of the flames, correct? Naruto nodded, before Sujiro continued. So, considering that fire techniques utilize the air from the atmosphere, what would happen if there wasn't much oxygen to be used as catalyst for the flame? It took a while, but the blonde realized what Sujiro meant as he looked at his sensei like a gawking fish out of the water. Well, I guess that would be an example, but why are you telling me this, Sujiro-sensei? Naruto asked, before Sujiro smiled once more. I'm telling you this, Naruto, because recently I came up with a technique that manages to suck the air from the atmosphere, reducing it considerably, therefore cutting the catalyst needed to ignite the fire. And I intend to teach you this particular skill. However, this technique must remain a secret between you and me. It's something that Sunagaku wanted with a passion, and I fear that if they saw you doing it, trouble would sure follow. You have my word, sensei. Flashback off. Focusing the last bit of chakra he possessed, Naruto extended his free hand and started focusing on the secret technique his sensei taught him. Ninpukei's Sashu, ninja art, wind gathering technique. Slowly, But surely, a small ball of wind started gathering on his hand, growing larger by the second. Not even aware of what was going on, the team from Konoha could feel the heat emanating from the ball of hell, and it wouldn't take 5 seconds for them to be engulfed by it. However, it was Kakashi who realized that the fireball was diminishing somehow. His Sharingan could detect the usage of chakra next to him, and he turned his neck to see Naruto's hand forming a ball of air the size of a fist, and it was growing. Naruto, you. The blonde didn't answer anything, though. Just keeping this technique active was hard enough and required his complete focus the entire time. Suddenly, he molded every bit of his chakra, before seeing the ball of air quadrupling in size, therefore diminishing the ball of fire up to the point that it didn't represent much danger to the team as they managed to jump in time to avoid being killed by the massive ball of death. After landing on a safe place, the entire team wondered what the hell happened and how they were still alive. Naruto was already unconscious, and because of it, he didn't realize that the team headed straight to Sunagakure, where they would make sure that Guy managed to return Gaara to the hidden village in the sand alive. He missed the celebration that occurred in Suna with the safe return of their Kazekage. But Kakashi made sure to tell everyone who it was that managed to rescue Gaara. Naruto was praised as a hero of Sunagakure. It was a shame, though, that he wasn't awake to hear his name being shouted repeatedly by the villagers. Both Team Guy and Team Kakashi chose to leave to Konoha as soon as Naruto awakened. Temari and Kankuro took them to a nice hotel to spend the night. With Yugao . Blissfully unaware of the events in Sunagakure, a very tired and battered Yugao opened the door to her little, but cozy apartment. Her shift was long, tiring, and everything she wanted right now was to have a long hot bath, followed by a few hours of sleep. Yugao never complained about her job, even though there were times she regretted accepting the honor of being an Anbu soldier. Today was one of these occasions. A B-ranked criminal managed to get loose from the cell he was in, before killing at least 3 members of the unit. One of them was on her team. Eventually, she managed to recapture the guy and lock him up once more. But the damage was done and a young shinobi lost his life because of it. Sure, the ninja life was no picnic. Everyone knew that upon accepting the headband, and especially everyone who was enrolled under the Anbu forces. But Yugao didn't like it when one of her subordinates was killed. To some, it was a mere casualty, but to her, it meant something else. She was tutored by one of the best Anbu captains, Sharingan no Kakashi. And as such, she tried to command her team like he did. No man was left behind, everyone protecting one another. As the hot water came bombarding her soft skin, the woman let out a heavy sigh in response to what happened today, and wondering how long it would be before she cracked under the pressure of being an Anbu captain. Well, to me, your strongest Anbu captain ever. The sudden memory of what Naruto spoke 2 months ago forced a smile on her face. At the time, they were in a fancy restaurant located within Water Country, discussing some general shinobi topics like the Anbu and the stressful life she led every day. Naruto said that Yugao was the strongest Anbu captain he'd ever met, before she contradicted him, saying that she was the only Anbu captain he knew, but with a warm smile on her face, accepting the praise that had every intention of cheering her up. Instantly, she wondered if he was doing well on his mission. From what she knew, his team was sent to Sunagakure in order to rescue the Kazekage from the Akatsuki's hands. Surely, it was no less than an S-ranked mission, and normally it would be no less than suicide to send a team of 3 Chunin and a Junin to a top mission like this. But she had confidence in his skills, seeing as she helped him train so that he could beat tough opponents like Akatsuki. Once leaving the shower and putting on some night clothes, she went straight to bed as her body was demanding at least a couple hours of rest. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.